Hello everybody and welcome to another video game here at Playing Board Games. We're talking about Arkham Horror the card game, and today I am very excited to be unboxing the Investigator expansion, the player card expansion as I sometimes call it here, for the Forgotten Age for Arkham Horror the card game. This is the re-release, so this is contains all the player cards with content from the original Forgotten Age cycle of products. And if you are new and you're getting into Arkham Horror the card game, these repackages makes it a lot easier for you to find what you need to find in order to play with player cards, because this includes, reading from the back of the box here, 5 Investigator cards, 5 mini cards, 188 player cards, and a rules book. So we're going to just crack in, kind of just look at the cards. I'm going to tell you kind of like, this is an interesting unboxing for me, because I have all of these cards. But I'm going to give you some perspective of why you might want to pick up the Forgotten Age expansion, because it is a really good expansion. We're going to kind of just like look through the cards and get things going. But let's go to the fun view, which is where the goods are. So notably, this box is not designed to be continuous storage. The campaign expansion that for Forgotten Age, which is going to be coming out sometime next month, probably, is much better for, you know, storing your cards. But this box is just a cardboard box that is going to, as you can see on these little folds down here, designed to be discarded once you are done with it. So much so, like, even looking at what's inside as I open it up, it's like, it's literally held up by pieces of cardboard. Speaking of, save this cardboard. You can do some arts and crafts with it, just so you know. It's very important for your future. And, wow. Again, it looks like there's no ad sheet. Again, no ad sheet here in the Forgotten Age expansion. So, the little rules here. Some summary, give up the expansion icon. Additional rules for mechanics that appear within the set. One of them is sealed, which allows you to essentially lock tokens from the token cup on other cards. So this can be on, like, player cards, it can be on encounter cards, stuff like that. I think this is only for player cards, though, for this one. There's also some additional weaknesses included. The research keyword, which they are moving forward. This is something that appeared in Edge of the Earth. Basically, there was a method that you could, like, complete a mini quest in order to pass, in order to get, like, a stronger version of your cards. And now the research just basically puts that all, you know, puts it all together and just makes it a little bit easier. So that's all that we need to know for rules. Now let's go and look at some of the player cards. So, one thing that's kind of fun is if you do have all of this already, there's actually errata is on these cards. I saw Arkham Chronicles post on their Twitter the Yodel that comes in it, and Yodel, Yodel's brand new. He has the new text, which has been the errata that has been existed for a long time, which is instead of limit once per phase, it's limit once per... instead of limit once per turn, it's limit once per phase. Leo Anderson, he is a Guardian rogue who likes to do allies and big guns. Very fun investigator. While not particularly impressive, most people play him for his card pool rather than his ability, and he is very fun and you can do a lot of cool things with him. Last Saturday on the channel, if you're not subscribing, you should consider subscribing. But I released a limited deck building with just the revised core, and the Forgotten Age player card expansion, which I'm just gonna, like, see? Look at that. Flat cardboard. I built a limited deck building just with the revised core and the Forgotten Age expansion, so you should check that out if you're interested. Our Seeker Investigator is Ursula Downs, who is a very fun, new player-friendly investigator. She is Seeker 0 to 5, and then Relics 0 to 4. And her whole thing is that she can move, and after she moves, she can take an investigate action. So you get, like, a lot of good out of Ursula's ability, and she's a great investigator for new players. So if you're thinking of, like, picking up a box of player cards, and you're deciding between Dunwich, Carcosa, and Forgotten Age, I don't think you can go wrong with this one. There are some good investigators and some good cards in here. Next up, we got our rogue, who was one of my favorite rogues when I first played him, Finn Edwards. Finn Edwards is still one of my favorites today. Finn Edwards, great Great, great, great investigator. Very fun ability. He gets to evade for free every turn. He has a little bit of a strange deck building requirement, which is Rogue 0 to 3, and then I believe it's Illicit 0 to 5, and then up to 5 Seeker or Survival level 0 cards. So he has a very weird deck building, and you actually kind of feel the limitations of it if you're just picking up this box in the revised core. But Finn's ability is really fun. Being able to evade for free every turn and having a very compelling stat line in terms of what he can get done is really cool. Yay, Finn! I love the hell out of Finn. Father Mateo is our mystic that we have here. So Father Mateo's whole thing is that he can turn an autofail into an Elder Sign once per game, and his Elder Sign's really strong. He has the seal mechanic actually printed on his actual... Can't go too close, it'll get out of focus. But you can see the seal Elder Sign there. It's kind of like he interacts with it, but a lot of the Mystic cards are going to interact with the seal mechanic. Father Mateo, he's fun. Travis, in the first play that we played with Father Mateo, Travis had a great time with Father Mateo. And while he's not particularly, like, broken by any means, there's still some fun things you can do with the guy, and the seal cards that come in this set are really cool to play with. And then finally, we got Calvin Wright, who, as you can see in his stat line, is all zeros. But he gets stronger for the more damage and horror on him. He's not really great for new players. He's very daunting, but I actually recently played a Calvin deck with a bigger collection, and he was very fun. But I will say that notably, the big thing just to be aware of in this box, if you're a new player, I would say for player cards, the biggest downside is that your Survivor Investigator out of the box is not going to be the best investigator to play with. You're still going to get some great Survivor cards that we're going to be looking at in the near future, but you don't really have... Kelvin is Kelvin. That's basically the best way of putting it. Kelvin is Kelvin. And for a new player, he's not going to be easy to pilot, and he's going to be a little bit weaker with this limited card pool. But you get 4 other great investigators. Kelvin's just a fun investigator, and especially when you have a bigger pool. But he is a little bit tougher to pilot. Just something to be aware of. Something to be aware of when if you're looking at purchasing this box. Mini cards! Look, there they are. This one's literally exactly as it says. It's just a slip of paper for the rulebook, cards, and and mini cards. Alright, so here are our Guardian cards. Survival Knife, very strong weapon. Venturer, great for big guns. It allows you to move supply ammo from him to cards with supply or cards with ammo that you control. Very fun. Handcuffs is actually a card that has been improving with each campaign. Handcuffs, when this first came out, we were like, it's fine. And now actually it has a lot of functions, and Handcuff can actually lead to a lot of good decks. So while you get this one if you have a limited collection, Handcuffs might not be able to do as much, but there are use cases for it even in the Forgotten Age campaign, which is going to be coming out soon, as I said. Trusted is a great way to just make your allies a little bit better. These actually are a lot of cards that like I still play constantly. So like I said, I think this is a good box for new players if you're just trying to come in. I've seen a lot of discussions of like this versus Edge of the Earth versus Scarlet Keys, and realistically, while you can't really miss with any of them, I think you got to look at the investigators to see what interests you, the player cards, but honestly, I think just following release order as best as you can is probably still the best blanket recommendation for this kind of thing. So I do think if you have Carcosa, you have Dunwich, and you're looking at what to get next, I don't think Forgotten Age is a bad choice. Scene of the Crime, fantastic card. Just lets you get clues. You get more clues if there's an enemy at your location. Can only be played as your first action. Second Wind, you got to pronounce the D, it's in the word. This card's really fun, and it sees a lot of use in Mark Harrigan, so if you have Path to Carcosa, this can be a good support for Mark. Take the Initiative is like a universally played Guardian staple. I'm also at the point where I don't know where a lot of these cards come from, so I'm like, yeah, these are a bunch of great Guardian cards. For every great card, there has to be an Intrepid. Those are just the rules. And there also has to be a Kerosene. Okay, so we're kind of looking at a few. I know people actually, like, there are people who praise Kerosene, and I think that's once again kind of the power of this game, where each card has a point and a function, and it kind of depends, I mean, except for Intrepid so far. I think that one's still kind of missing a home. That's just my opinion. But with Kerosene, I know there are people who have played it. Recently, it was played in a deck on our channel in a Patreon Game Day, in a Carolyn deck, who comes out in one of the expansions. I think she's Circle Undone. I could be wrong on that, though. Reliable. This is a great way to make your items just a little bit better. Marksmanship is a fun way to shoot at a distance with guns. Once again, like, this works well with Leo. Leo does play big guns here. Well Prepared is a very fun build-around. You basically get to turn all your assets and use the icons on your assets to make your tests even better. Custom Ammunition is a fun card that makes killing monsters better, and as Bryn always says, there's a lot more monsters than you think in this game. Blood Eclipse, fun card, still doesn't really have a home though, but maybe you can try it out. Kelvin can play it, because Kelvin can play Spirits. Look at that, maybe that's I don't think it's a good point, but there could be a place for it. Then we got a nice big-ass gun, the M918 bar, and the flamethrower, which is a very fun weapon that's fun to play with, and you'll enjoy it. Also works really well with Well Prepared. On to the secret cards. As I'm gonna try to just like go through these. It is an unboxing, and I'm gonna just like basically sum up the places for where you might find these cards. They're a lot more in-depth than what I'm going into here, so this is kind of like a speed run, if you will. Dr. Ellie plays very good with relics, and there's going to be some good relics in this deck. Notably, we have Tooth of Etzli, which is really, it's a nice relic, and it's going to play well in Ursula Downs if you're going to play her. Shrewd Analysis, this is for the research cards that I was talking about. So when you research one, instead of choosing what your upgrade is, you get to research, you get to add a second copy at random for both copies. Vantage Point. I actually recently played this card. This card allows you to basically just move clues around, or make when you enter a location, will reveal a location. It makes the shroud lower, and you're going to move a clue to it. It has some uses, and I mean, like, it's kind of more. It's like one of those cards that it's a good card. It's not great. It's like, even good might be a bit much, but it has its uses, and I think it's a fun card. Vantage Point. Unearth the Ancients, it's here too. Persuasion, I also haven't really found this one to be in action. So the secret cards right now aren't looking like super crazy good in comparison to the Guardian cards. The Guardian cards are really nice in this box. So if you're a Guardian, hello. Truth from Fiction, this is really nice. It places secrets on assets you control, so this is secret support. There's going to be some cards coming up in the rest of this pile that will actually benefit from this. So you're going to get it within your own box. True Understanding, this is a fun skill card that you can only commit to a test ability not printed on a scenario card. So that's like an encounter card, or like a location, or the Mythos deck, for example. And what this does is it gives you an additional clue. It gives you a clue if you're successful. Ancient Stone is our upgrades here. As you can see, this is the level 0, this is the it's actually the level 1 version, and then these are the upgraded versions. Very fun, very powerful cards. They do a lot of things, but basically every expansion except this one, except Scarlet Keys has a research card, I believe. I could be wrong in that, but this is this cycle's research cards. They're always very fun. Quick study, if you have Scarlet Keys, this card's going to go up in value. This is for the archetype when you're placing clues down on locations. Otherworldly Compass, this guy right here, it's just going to make you, it's like a flashlight that never ends, but it's not as consistent as a flashlight. Sometimes it's better than a flashlight, but you only get one use of it a turn because it does exhaust. But it basically lowers the shroud. And if you're just starting out, lowering the shroud is a good thing. And to know why is much more complex than I can get into this unboxing video, where I'm just like looking at all the cards and kind of giving my rapid fire thoughts on them. But the idea is that a lower shroud is better than an increased number on your skill. And it's complicated to explain, but just trust me on that. Feed the Mind lets you draw cards. I don't know if I've played this card, to be honest. Expose, yeah, you know what? Honestly, the secret cards aren't great in comparison to the Guardian cards. The Guardian cards were really nice. The secret ones, not so much. Expose Weakness. but also the Panoptic Manuscripts, or Narcotic Manuscripts, Panoptic, however you want to say it. Very fun, very powerful card. Uses secrets, so it really works well with the Truth from Fiction that I talked about earlier. The one that is this one, Truth from Fiction. Really nice synergy there, and this is all kind of built into this box that you can take advantage of. Okay, let's keep this show going. We got Decorated Skull, the card that I wish was always better, but basically after an ally or enemy or investigator is defeated, you place a resource on it, and you can spend as an action to draw a card or gain a resource. Well, you draw a card and gain a resource for when you drink from the skull. Drink from the skull, baby. Follow, this is another one that actually goes up in value, and I think actually was unappreciated at the time that we were playing it. But this works already well with Finn Edwards. So Finn Edwards can take advantage of this immediately outside of the box. You Handle This One is a rogue staple. You will be very happy to have this card in your collection. You basically give your Mythos card to another player, and this matters because if we go back and look at Finn Edwards, Finn's got one brain, one willpower right there, and this allows you to turn those problems into not your problem, but someone else's problem, and you also get paid for the pleasure. Lucky Cigarette Case is another rogue staple. Play this all the time. If you have the starter decks, you, I think, already have a copy of a Lucky Cigarette Case. But now, if you buy this, 2 players can have a copy of Lucky Cigarette Case. Hatchet Man. This is a fun skill. I've played it, I still play it, I played it actually recently, and it definitely has its places. It's fun though. It basically, after you've hit an enemy, the next time it's dealt damage this turn, it takes more damage. Works really well with the Sneak Attack and Finn Edwards, which you'll find in your core set. The Sneak Attack. Slip Away is a great rogue card where you add your book to your skill value for the evade, and if you succeed by 2 or more, you freeze it. It essentially doesn't ready this turn. This is a nice card. Cold Vest Pocket. This gun is very, you know, if you're like the person who likes to solve a puzzle, this is a very good weapon for you because you'll try to figure out how can I take most advantage for it, because it does discard at the end of the round. And it's a little puzzle. It's a little puzzle. I don't know how well you can take advantage of it, but like I said, if you're a dreamer and you like to solve puzzles, Schizo Tool might be able to take advantage of that. Coup de Grace. This is a nice, simple rogue spell that sometimes also just functions well as an Overpower, which is 2 fist symbols if you don't know that shorthand. Overpower is a skill card in the core set, and this can basically just act as that. It just doesn't draw a card afterwards. Overpower also has 2 fist icons. You can deal damage to enemy or location. If it defeats that enemy, draw a card. If it's your turn, end your turn. So it requires a bit of like timing issues to get to the full value, but testless damage is always nice. And 2 fist in a pinch, also very nice. Treasure Hunter, pay money for book. If you have one of the earlier expansions, I think it might be Dunwich, I could be wrong. There's already a Hired Muscle, which has a very similar effect just for fist. Fence. Doesn't really have a home yet. With Scarlet Keys, this does go up in value, but I've yet to be impressed by it. But once again, it allows for some kind of more fun, flavorful deck building. That's kind of the nice thing about this game, is that sometimes you can just decide to build for, like, you can just play on easy. And you can kind of, like, try things out, and I think Fence would have a really fun home there. Payday. Gain 1 resource for each action you perform this turn. It's last action, emergency cash, and if you take multiple actions, it goes even better. High Roller is a very, very fun card. You get to spend 3 money to get +2 for a test, and if you succeed, you get your money back. You're basically gambling in the rogue way. Skeleton Key sets the location of a shroud to 1. Wow, can't be modified though, so it does not work in addition with Flashlight. But a 1 shroud location is really good, especially with rogue staple ally Lola Santiago. So Lola is really good. She's a rogue staple. She gives you 2 relevant stats. She's fantastic with Finn, and she can buy clues off a location. A lot of really good things here with Lola Santiago. Last 2 cards we got are Borrowed Time. You get to you basically can like bank your actions. A really fun card. We built some Tony decks with this. We have a Tony deck coming out this Thursday with this deck. That just seems like a really fun time. And then Tony Morgan comes in the Dream Eaters, if you don't know. But you can still even play this in Finn Edwards and have a good time. It is exceptional, though, so it does cost 6 experience. Notably, though, you cannot play this card in Finn Edwards, which now, actually, kind of looking at it, feels a little bit funny that they included in this box set. But notably, Finn cannot play Rogue 5 cards, only Rogue 0 to 3. So Finn actually cannot play this card. Moment of silence for our boy Finn Edwards. But kind of funny that that's there, but because you have the revised core and you need the revised core for this, Skids O'Toole will come to the rescue. Okay. Mists is a fun evasion spell that exists now. It's a spell asset, kind of like Shriveling and Rite of Seeking. Chthonian Stone, this is something that seals some of the bad tokens. I told you these sealed tokens would come up later on player cards in the Mystic class, and here it is. Arcane Research, Mystic Staple, great card. You're going to play it all the time. You're going to play it all the time, and you're going to love playing it for a little bit, and then you're going to hate it and begrudgingly play it just because you have to. Fantastic Mystic card. Olive McBride is a very fun Mystic that makes your Jim Culver, if you have him, go up in value. Jim is from Dunwich. It allows you to reveal 3 Chaos tokens instead of 1, and choose 2 of those tokens to resolve and ignore the other. Very fun card. Dark Prophecy. You get to reveal 5 Chaos tokens instead of 1, choose 1 of the symbols to resolve and ignore the rest. Also, this card has a lot of uses. Jim plays it. Diana Stanley in Circle Undone plays it. Very nice. Circle Undone is the next expansion coming out, by the way. Premonition basically front loads a test. You get to see what the result is, what the token for the next test anyone would take is, and then you have to do that is drawn. Enraptured, this card is really good. And it's Travis and I play it all the time. If Bryn played Mystics with Book, he might play. I don't know. It's hard to say with Bryn, but Enraptured's really good. Protective Incantation is another way to seal. You just have to pay for it every turn. You have to spend a resource at the end of your turn or discard it, but it works into the sealing thing. The sealing archetype. I should not say sealing thing. Sacrifice. Discard a Mystic as you control, then draw 3 cards or gain 3 resources. This card's good. This card's really good. Recall the Future is also another fun card. It basically allows you to get +2 on a skill test for only one of the tokens. The only downside is you have to name a token. So I usually just go always this one because that's the one that makes me fail. Counterspell, another fun thing, just cancel one of the tokens that's not the auto-fail, a symbol token that's listed here on the card. Fun Mystic card. Upgraded Defiance, also just a nice thing to have. Crystalline Elder Sign is a good card. You basically seal the +1 to the Elder Sign and get +1 to all your stats. Basically how you look at it, if you seal the +1, you basically are drawing the +1 on all of your tests. Shards of the Void is an interesting Mystic spell that cares about sealing 0. And you can spend the sealed tokens, and if you reveal a sealed 0 token, you can seal it on it. And it's a fun card. Upgraded Mists. And then Seal of the Seventh Sign, which is an awesomely flavored card. You get to seal the auto-fail. Wow. The auto-fail token. And then after a symbol token, after a Skull, Cultist, Tablet, or Squid is revealed, you remove 1 charge from Seal of the Seventh Sign. 7 charges, and it's after any player reveals it. So it will eventually break, but it is still a really fun card to play with. On to Survivor. We have a whole improvised cycle, which I'm just going to kind of like pull all of these out because they kind of all live in the same home. They all have a not great effect if you play it from your hand. They all cost 1, but you can also play it from your discard pile, and if you do, you shuffle it into your deck afterwards. It's a fight -1, deal an extra damage if played from your discard. Investigate -1, get additional clue to play from your discard pile. Evade -1, and you may evade an additional enemy at the same location with evade X or lower, where X is the amount you succeed by. If you have Dunwich, these work very well with Ashcan Pete. Not so much, I mean, actually probably even Wendy Adams is probably a better example. Ashcan Pete can do it, but you have to work a little bit harder. But Travis played a Winging It deck. A Winging It in Wendy Adams, that was really good. You can play the Ashcan Pete too, because you're looking for ways that you can discard it. And it's almost as if this set came with Cornered. it just clicked for me. I was like, wait a minute, where's Cornered? Cornered's in Forgotten Age. Cornered is a really good asset that kind of can help make this better for any investigator. But as a lightning bolt, you can discard a card from your hand and get +2 skill value for a test, limit once per test. That allows you to discard these cards and get them in your discard pile that way, as any red investigator, even Calvin Wright. We have Dumb Luck, which is kind of like I'm going to say this because this is how it actually is, and it might make less sense to you if you're a new player, but it's look what I found before evading. So look what I found is after you fail an investigate by 2 or less, you get a positive, and this is after you fail an evade test by 2 or less, you get a positive, and that's placing the enemy on the encounter deck. Perseverance, this is a card that Bryn plays all the time. It's a great card. When you would die, pay 2, cancel up to 4 of that damage and horror. And like the coup de grace earlier, worst case, it's also just a guts. It commits for 2 brain. Last Chance is a fun card. There's a lot of great Patrice cards. So Patrice comes out in Dream Eaters, which is 2 cycles from this one. But this goes, that's the kind of nature of this game too. Both a positive and a negative is that cards impact, cards from one cycle will impact cards in another cycle. And card pools for investigators always keep growing. And with this game, it's no exception. It's especially true for this game. And it's kind of the things where, like, you're going to want more because it makes your investigators better. And Last Chance is an example of that, where it's kind of awkward and you can make it work with some investigators, but like it gets better with a future investigator. So basically this removes a wild icon for each card still in your hand when you commit it. And another investigator, Patrice, she basically has a constantly cycling hand. Live and Learn, fantastic event when you would fail. After you fail a skill test and you resolve the effects of the failed test, attempt that test again and you get +2 skill value for this test. Stunning Blow, I love this card. It commits for a fist, and if it's successful during an attack, you automatically evade the attacked enemy. Take Heart, staple survivor card. I don't play it as much as I used to, but when you have a smaller collection, this is a fantastic card that if you commit it to any type of test, and if it fails, the performing investigator draws 2 cards, gains 2 resources. Look at that, Yaddle. Limit once per phase. Yes! So Yaddle's a fun little ally where you can commit the top cards. You get a bonus to the skill equal to the number of the matching skill icons in the top card of your discard pile. Unfortunately, not counting wild icons. I still want to see an upgrade version of Yaddle where that's like a bit, you actually can do it, because that would be really fun. We have Try Again. This is actually better than the upgraded version. There's another version of Try Again, where this one is just that if you, after a skill test has failed, if a skill card you own is committed, you can exhaust Try Again instead of try to return it to your hands. Return the skill icon you committed to your hand. You also get 3 tries, and it automatically discards itself afterwards. Against All Odds. To be honest, I don't know what this card does. I need to read it. When a difficulty higher than your base skill value, so like Calvin. Reveal X additional chaos tokens for this skill test. Choose and resolve and ignore. Oh, so basically you just get to you get to reveal additional skill icons. Skill tokens, chaos tokens, and see which one will pass you the test. Nice and simple. On your own, this one's a little bit awkward because you have to find it in your deck and you kind of have to build around it. But it basically, if you're not playing any allies in your deck, well, if you own an ally, it's discarded if you have someone in your ally slot. But you get to reduce the survivor events you play by 2 once per turn. You can exhaust it. Old Hunting Rifle, it's a very fun survivor. It's kind of like Baseball Bat from the core set, where it does it's a very like a high-powered weapons for its cost, but if you reveal an auto-fail or a skull, something bad happens. And then the last one here is Alter Fate, which is a fantastic card. You basically just get to get rid of a treachery. Going into our neutrals. Backpack, fantastic card. You're going to play it. Well, actually, the level 0 backpack is like less good, but I still play the level 0 backpack if I have a lot of items and supplies in my deck. But the Return to has the upgraded one, but this one's here, just this one as the level 0 version. It's definitely playable, My Fantastic was a little bit preloaded because I'm used to playing the upgraded version. But if you're playing a lot of items and supplies, the backpack's going to get jobs done for you. Trench coat, get +1 foot while evading. It's here. Obviously, they want you to play it in Finn or Ursula. And you'll probably find success with it, especially with a smaller collection. Thermos, you can heal. You heal more if you have trauma. It's almost like Forgotten Age is going to give you a lot of trauma. Ornate bow is a very fun weapon. You get to shoot with your foot, so Ursula loves it. Finn loves it. Really fun card. You're going to probably, when you open the box and you see this card, this one's probably going to make you go, wow. This is probably like one of the wow cards of the set that's going to make you want to build with it. Hemispheric map, it gets better when you have more locations attached to you. Honestly, this one hasn't seen much play at our table. It's kind of just complicated to keep track of and doesn't do a lot, but it still can be fun to play with. That's kind of part of the thing, too, that makes Arkham so good, is that you get to just keep exploring. And we have Time Worn Brand, otherwise known as the paddle, otherwise known as the spanking stick, and you just get to hit things and hit things really hard. The last thing that we have here are the weaknesses, which are actually, they're multiple weaknesses. So Dark Pact can turn into Price of Failure, which can turn into Dark Pact. So basically, if you don't do this, you get the worst version, and then it comes back into this. Interesting design, followed up with Doomed, which is probably one of the most hated weaknesses from the community just because of how punishing it is. But basically, when you draw it, you mark that you've drawn it. And then when you draw it again, you get replaced with a Cursed Fate. Same thing, you draw it, you mark that you drew it, you draw it again, it turns into the bell tolls, and when you draw it, you are killed. So definitely a challenging basic weakness, and it feels tough for a basic weakness. I've only played with it once, and it's certainly not going to be your favorite thing to have in the pool. I'll say that much right now. But hopefully, this has given you an idea of the player cards that are here. This is longer than I would normally do, because I think this kind of went for unboxing and card showcase is probably the better term for it. For my very flat Forgotten Age player card, the Investigator expansion. Yeah. It's a great cycle. It's a good cycle of cards. While there were some where I was like, this card doesn't really have a home yet, I also had a lot of cards that were like, this card is a staple. So I highly recommend, if you're just starting out, picking up this player card expansion, because it's going to be very good for your collection. So you should check it out. And a huge thanks to Fantasy Flight Games for sending me this so I could make this video for all of you. And in the meantime, if you are new to our channel, consider liking and subscribing. We release a new Arkham Horror video every day of the week, and I will see you all soon. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.